So I'm gonna go ahead and start. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello. Today I'm going to be interviewing.
Christiana Odongo.
And what country of origin are you from?
I'm from Ghana in West Africa.
Okay. Is there a specific city or county or region that you're from that you like to say?
Yeah, I'm from the Greater Accra region and I am from there and I've lived there my whole life.
Okay. And how long have you been in America?
Just a few months, under a year, maybe 9 months, I think.
Okay. So to start the interview, I already asked the first two questions. So when you first got to the United States, what was some of the cultural shocks that you experienced?
Yeah, so I haven't really experienced any culture shocks and I feel like this is because of where I've been exposed to when I came to the United States. So currently I haven't been exposed to like any major cities yet. So Carlton gives me a suburban vibe that I'll find in my country.
Okay. So it's not too different from
No.
Ghana. Okay.
Yeah, maybe the weather is different, but not so much. Everything else, not so much.
But with,
The only distinct feature that I can really place my finger on is how you don't have public system for transportation
mm,
here. But I know that that's available in major cities
yeah.
to compensate for like the number of people who need to move around and to reduce the number of cars that move around on the road. But when it comes to like places like Carlton, you don't really have like a public, transportation system available. So
back
that
in-
shouldn't be.
Sorry. So in Ghana, they would provide transit for like every region, no matter like size.
Yes, so there is transportation in every region, no matter the size. Mostly not government funded. Mostly people just do it because they realize it's a business opportunity for them. Like if I was in a rural area and I had a car, I could turn it into a taxi and transport people from one place to another and just take them a fare that I can just keep for myself as my income.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so the government is supposed to provide transportation, ideally, but then in some rural areas they don't. But you could find individuals who have like that transportation system like Uber, but it's not technology. You go to a certain spot, you see a car, you pick the car, and you know the fare you're supposed to pay for which distance you're going.
Okay, that's interesting. That's a
Yeah.
nice way to like make sure that everyone needs to get to someplace or another.
Yeah, especially without the burden of trying to buy a car.
That's cool.
Because
And-
most people can't really actually afford it anyway.
oh, okay.
Yes.
That's cool. Earlier you had mentioned the weather was different. What's like the difference?
Yes, so back home it's much warmer than it is here.
Mm.
We do have different seasons in the year, but it's mostly raining season and a dry season. Those are the two distinct, different seasons that we have. So it's either it's raining a lot or it's just sunny. Yes. So it's warm most of the year in my country, but in different parts of Africa you can have instances of snow or it being cold.
Mm.
Yeah, depending on where their country falls on the hemisphere.
Okay, so when it came to like the coldest recent winter, was it like oh, this is really cold, or was it like, oh, this is probably that's something I can get used to?
Well, it was new for me, but I did know that it was much colder here, so I came prepared.
Okay.
Mentally and physically. So, there was that adjustment to the weather, but I don't think it was so, different.
Different.
Like, I could get used to it. Yes, that's how I felt. And I was really happy that it snowed here in Georgia because I had never seen snow before. So,
Oh, really? That's nice.
so I got the chance to experience like the snow here. And I'm glad they have it when I was here because apparently it hasn't snowed here in a while.
Yeah, you got lucky because like in Georgia, it snows like every like 5 to 6 years, so
Mhm.
it was a good time for you to go.
Yeah.
So what are some of the most important holidays or celebrations that are in your culture?
Okay, so I am Ga Adangbe by tribe.
What was the tribe's name?
Ga Adangbe. It's spelled-
Adambe?
Yes.
Okay.
It's spelled GA-ADANGBE.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm Ga Adangbe by tribe because we inherit paternally, and that's where my dad is from. Yes. So in the Ga Adangbe culture, we do have Asafotufiam and Depot. So Asafotufiam is a festival that we hold every year. It's like a warriors festival.
Okay.
Yes. So they basically, shoot guns, do war dances, enact like a war, a fake war, just to celebrate. And it's also like a passage rites for like the males to, be ushered into like manhood. I don't know if you.
Yeah, that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yeah. And then the depot rites are for the women or
Okay.
the young girls. So the depot rites, ideally, essentially, were supposed to be for women in their 20s who are mature enough to get married. So the whole rite was just for them to start being accustomed to things they are supposed to do once they become married women. But currently, it stems from pre-adolescents to adolescent women and being ushered into like a sexual purity rites
Okay.
kind of thing. So they take young girls, they are expected to be virgins, and they are paraded around the town, mostly half naked. So they leave their like upper body parts like free,
Okay.
but their lower body parts are covered with like beads and cloth that we used to cover like down there. And
Okay.
they just walk around the town, like they're introduced into the town as ready for marriage basically. So they are expected to be virgins, and then including the parading that they do, they are also taught things to take care of themselves and also to take care of like a home once they get married. And there's a chance for the men in the town to see which girls are of age and be interested in them to get married to them. So if you did see a girl that was being paraded and you thought you were interested in her, you find out who she is and then you go meet her family and then you can take care of them.
Okay, that's really cool. And how often does that festival or event happen throughout the year?
I think it's once a year. I'm not sure. But I think it's once a year.
Just once? Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. What are some of the traditions that are important to you personally?
Personally, I would look at the funeral rites, taking care of the old.
Mhm.
It's not exactly a written traditions. Most of our traditions were not stuff that were written. We communicated, orally. So taking care of the old was not a staunch tradition like written in the books that you have to take care of the old. But as you grow, you realize that they will need much help with like moving around, you're taking care of feeding and stuff like that because they become incapable of doing those things. So comparatively here, you would take them to like care homes, but back home would have them still live in the house, like the family house, with younger children,
Okay.
so they can impart like their knowledge to the younger children, and then we can also have a chance to take care of them.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so we don't take our old out of the homes once they get old. We keep them with us. Yes, so that's one tradition. And then the funeral rites in my tribe specifically, they have a fun culture where they make coffins or caskets in the likeness of what the person was interested in.
Okay.
So the coffins can range from like pencils to like beer bottles.
That's really so they designed the casket with that's really interesting.
No, they make it
Oh, they make it out
in
of
the likeness of like a pencil.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yes. So if the person was like maybe a teacher or something, it could be like a pen or a pencil. And if the person maybe liked alcohol or they had like a bar or something, it could be like a beer bottle.
That's
Yeah.
That's an honorable thing to go out with.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
So depending on what they want or depending on who they were when they were living, we just use that to celebrate them in the dead because now they are dead and we believe in celebrating the dead. So we create those like caskets in a fun way. No, it's not funerals are not fun, but just a way to commemorate what a person did when they were living. And it's very unique because I haven't heard any other tribes in any part of the world that does the same thing. Maybe there are, But so far, I've only heard of the Ghans doing that. So if you go online, you could see like different pictures of how the caskets look like, and they just bury the dead.
That's really interesting. Let's see. What are some of the stereotypes you feel people have about your country that are inaccurate?
Well, the very first one would be language. Um, so people who are not of African descent believe that if you come from a specific country, or if you are just from Africa in general, we all speak African.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. There is a language called Afrikaans,
Okay.
yes, but there is nothing like African. So depending on where you are from, there are different languages that are spoken. My country alone speaks about like 80 languages.
80?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
just in my, and that's just in one small part of West Africa. Let's just leave the whole Africa out of it and talk about just West Africa. My country is like one of the smallest, comparatively, it is one of the smallest countries in West Africa. And we speak about 80 languages. So you can just imagine what languages are spoken in the other countries that make up West Africa. So the official language is English because we were colonized by the British. And most of the communication is done in English, especially on TV, on radio, billboards, stuff like that. It's all English. But, there are so many different languages that some of them I don't even know. Like, I know, or if I heard it, I wouldn't even know it's from my country because I haven't encountered someone who speaks that language. I think you have further questions on this, but
I believe I just asked like what is the primary language spoken in
yes,
Ghana?
I will mention it. And then also another stereotype could be that we live in like savanna grassland and in mud houses. So savanna grassland can be found in my country, can be found in most parts of Africa, but then most parts of Africa they just don't look like that anymore. Where I come from is basically a city.
Okay.
Yes. So I haven't really been exposed to like the very rural areas because that's not where I come from. Where I was born, where I've lived, have basically been cities. Yes. And I have moved in from different communities in the cities, and they were all basically like suburb areas. So I didn't have much experience with the rural areas, but I have had an experience living in a mud house before.
Okay, what was that like?
It was new.
New?
Yes. So what happened was I had traveled to another country, still in Africa, and we went to visit my great grandmother in the village, and she was still living in the mud house. This was like when I was maybe 10, 11.
Okay, so you're a kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now currently my mom and her sisters managed to build the house that my grandfather was going to build, but he passed on. So they managed to build that house and moved my great grandmother, their mother, which is my grandmother, to the house that they built, which was basically made of like blocks and cement and stuff like that. But I did have experience in the mud house, and I did have an experience drinking from like an earthenware pot.
Yeah, what?
An earthenware pot.
What's that?
So it's a pot made of earthen with like clay.
Okay.
Yes, and you pour water into it and you drink from it.
Okay.
So you just fetch from the pot and you drink from it. So instead of like bottled water or tap water, that's what we're drinking. And it had a very unique taste. I feel like because of the earthenware it was in, it gave it a unique taste. It didn't taste bad or but it was very refreshing and it was always cool.
Always cold.
Always.
Okay, that's
Always.
really that's really
Yeah,
nice.
and I feel like the same concept was, given to the building of the mud house because it was very cool inside too. And you know how I mentioned how it's warm most of the time?
Yeah.
Because of the structure of the building, it was cool inside and there was like enough air flow. Yes. So it was really nice living in it because, you know, it was an experience for me, but I actually liked it because it was an experience for me. Yes, basically, yes. But most people now in Ghana or in, yes, West Africa don't live in mud houses. Yes. So since I was like 10, this was like maybe 18, 19 years ago. Yes, when I experienced living in a mud house. But now, even in that village, most of the people don't live in mud houses anymore.
They live in the cities.
Normal. No, even in the village, they build like houses made of blocks and concrete.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
That's a really cool, unique experience you got.
Yes, yes, it was. I'm so glad for it.
No matter
Yeah.
what, the bottles in America make everything just warm.
Yeah, it was. Everywhere water tastes so different, and it was always cool. I like the fact that it was always cool. And the taste is so unique, like you couldn't find that anywhere.
I'm
Yeah.
jealous. Was there any other stereotypes you wanted to talk about?
Well, stereotypes, no, not really. These are the two I could pick so far. But if you do have any ones, I could speak on them.
Oh, if you have any that's just come to mind right now. If not, we can go to the next question. But if
Yeah.
you have, go to okay. What are some of the misconceptions people have about you personally when you tell them that you're from Ghana or that you come from the continent of Africa?
Misconceptions, I haven't really had an experience with that yet.
Okay.
What I experience is most people are open to learning more from me about where I come from. So they ask questions. They don't jump into conclusions about where I'm from. At least I haven't experienced that yet. Like having someone, you know, just say, oh, so you guys do this right after I say I'm from Ghana. They usually just ask like, you know, questions that they're curious about. But I haven't had someone say something that I had to correct because I felt like it was a misconception of people they had from my country or in Africa in general. So yes, maybe they just keep it to themselves. I don't know. But so far I haven't had to address anything yet. I'm still thinking through it, but now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So within a few months, you haven't really had any personal, like, I guess, discriminations against like yourself or anything like that that you experienced yet. So, okay.
No.
That's pretty for this to be like the South. That's pretty interesting. At least for
Yeah.
me, that's
But you see, my interactions are limited because I'm mostly speaking to people in school here on campus,
yeah.
and the people I meet outside are people that are from my country.
Okay.
So, you know, I haven't really met anyone who is so confused as to who I am and where I come from that they form a misconception and reveal it.
Okay.
Yes. So maybe there are misconceptions and maybe I do answer them once they ask their questions, but I haven't outright experienced someone say something that was terribly wrong about, you know, my country.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you like to go to the next question?
Yes, sure.
Okay. What's the primary language that is spoken in Ghana? I think you kind of already answered it, but if you like to go over it again.
So English is the official language. We also speak Ghana. That's, you know, the language where my people come from.
Okay.
They are Ghana based and they speak Ghana.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yes, and that's mostly spoken in the southern part of the country. When you go to like the middle belts, they speak like Akan, like Chi.
Like tree. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pronounce it.
Don't worry, it's kind of hard to pronounce because it's like it has like a strange tongue positioning. So I can understand if you don't get
I'm sorry.
if you don't get it. But yes, the middle belt mostly speak Chi, and the northern part they speak Dagbani, Dagari, Sisala, Wale, and Gonja. These are languages that are spoken by like the northern part of the country.
Mm.
Yes. So the tribes or the ethnic groups are very distinct when it comes to language, culture, inheritance, dressing, and food.
Okay.
Yes. So it's very diverse.
Very diverse. It's interesting. These are just some of the other like part of the 80 languages that make up.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
And in the northern part, I have mentioned like 5 of these. So when you come to like the middle belt, the majority would be Akans. But even in the Akans, we have different diverse groups that speak like languages that are similar to the main tree language, but it's different. An example would be the Fantis. They speak a language like trees do, but it's not true. It's very similar, but it's not the same. And they are from the same like major ethnic group. The Fantis are Ashantis. I don't know if you've
I've heard of Shanti before.
Yes. So the Afantis are no, sorry. The Fantis are part of the Akan tribe. The Ashantis are also part of the Akan tribe. And the Ashantis majority speak Tree. And then the Fantis speak Fanti.
Okay.
So the languages are similar but different because they are closely, when it comes to like land boundaries, they are kind of close to each other.
So next question is, excuse me, how do gender roles play in your country? For example, how are men and women supposed to act?
Okay, so when it comes to gender roles in my country, it's pretty, what's the word?
Traditional?
Yes, pretty traditional. So the men are supposed to be like providers, and the women basically assist.
Okay.
So the women basically take care of the children, the home, but ideally, majority of provision is supposed to be done by the man. But modernization has kind of made things a bit different. In that now women have the ability to work and earn money too. So there have been debates or discussions where it's like, since the women are also earning money, why don't they contribute to household, activities? And some of them don't agree with it because they feel like they do a lot of work in the home which the men don't contribute to. So their argument is, if I'm gonna be contributing financially, which ideally was supposed to be a role that you're supposed to take on by yourself, then you should also be contributing in the household just to balance things out. Because if I'm also going to work in the mornings and coming back in the evening, it means that I'm also tired. So why is it that 2 of us have to go to work in the morning, come back in the evening, and only one person has to prepare dinner?
Okay.
Yeah, so that argument comes up. But traditionally, the men provide, the women take care of the children, their children, and stuff like that. And yes, that should be it. But then, when it comes to we also have instances where we have like, so right now the conclusion of the whole issue became people can pick up whatever arrangement works for them when they're married.
Okay.
So in some homes, the man takes care of all the bills, the house bills, the school fees, food stuff, all of those things. Like financially, he takes care of the family, and then the woman takes care of the children. Like she makes sure that there's always food at home for everybody. The house is clean. The children are well brought up. You know, stuff like that. Just to balance things out. In some homes, both contribute financially, both contribute domestically.
Okay. What's like the concept for like single parents in Ghana, or at least for your tribe, if they have like that concept, or is it like not really how it is over here?
Not really. That doesn't happen often. It does happen, but it doesn't happen often. And most of the time, when it does happen, it usually means that one of them passed on.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but you wouldn't normally find. I mean, you would, but in the quantity that you would find like single parents in the Western world, you wouldn't really find that back home, unless of course like they lost a spouse. But from the beginning, as in you guys had kids out of wedlock, and
Yeah.
then one person is not in the picture just because they don't want to be, not because they died or anything, but one person is just not doing anything, and one person has, has to take on the responsibility of taking care of the children alone. That's very rare because there are traditions surrounding everything that we do. So it is frowned upon for you to have sex out of wedlock, have a kid, and then no one to take care of the kid in any way. They don't even mind if you guys don't get married. But the very first thing they'll do is try to get you guys married.
Okay.
Yes. So if you don't get married, that's fine. But they would expect that you still take care of your children.
Does that mean both parents have to live in the same house, or?
They don't have to.
Okay.
But once everybody is taking care of, like doing their part, the rest of the family should be fine with it. But the rate at which you have single parents, based on the fact that, there's a break of the traditional family unit, is very rare. Usually it's because one spouse died.
Okay. That's interesting. Did you have more to say about that, or did you?
Well, unless you want me to talk about like effeminate men and masculine women.
If you'd like to, yeah.
So, specifically in my tribe, we recognize effeminate men and masculine women. It's not hard to see. There are just some boys or some men who are feminine leaning in their interactions and their, demeanor. But we don't look at them as women. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
We
Yeah.
still look at them as men. They can do whatever they want, talk however they want, dress however they want, do their hair however they want, wear makeup, be in like the drag queen
Culture and stuff.
Yes,
Okay.
but we still recognize them as men.
So, if you don't mind me asking, how does your tribe specifically feel about like same-sex partners, or is that concept not really?
So I would have to research more on the same-sex marriage, right?
Well, if one of the men in your tribe were to come out as gay, like what would be the reaction for it?
I don't think nobody
Would do it?
because they know, like they recognize them in the community. Like it's not a new thing.
Okay.
Yes, it's not new. Like you literally see them just walking around the streets, living their life. Nobody goes to attack them and says no, you're gay, so we have to attack you or something. I don't know.
that makes sense though.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have that, but there are definitely people who discriminate. You always find them. There are definitely people who discriminate against people who act that way, even though they may not be gay, and people who don't even act that way and are gay, like are sexually attracted to same sex. It's fine. Traditionally, they know about them. Like there are records of them acknowledging that there are people who live like this.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's not a new thing. What made it become something bad was colonization.
Really? Okay, that's
Which was
interesting.
funny because now the West is trying to adopt the fact that they want to include more people who are,
Yeah.
but we used to do that. We only stopped because the white man came and said it was evil.
That's interesting. I've never heard any like that. That's really cool.
Yes. So there are books written not just in my part of Africa, in like the whole Africa. There are books written based on different parts of Africa, presence of like boy wives and female husbands.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I get.
Yes. So there are presence of that, there are records of that, and even now in the modern world, we know about them, we acknowledge them, but then there are restrictions on their freedom now because of the law. Currently, there's no explicit law stating that homosexuality is illegal in my country, but they are trying to bring that up.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
And there have been protests about it for a number of years now to make sure that the bill doesn't pass. Like they're actually trying to create a bill and everything. And they do have support from outside, like Western countries supporting them because you know that people here that don't agree with people having gay rights and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
they're trying to push the same thing in Africa.
That's so weird how that like reversed.
Exactly.
It's so weird. I never before like heard that in other parts of the world that there was like records of it and stuff.
There are definitely. I'll share the book with you.
Oh,
I
really?
think I still have it. It's huge, but I did start reading it and I was not able to finish. But the title of the book is Boy Wives and Female Husbands. I will find it and send it to you. So I started reading that book and that gave me insights on how Africans used to relate with people, effeminate men, homosexual men, lesbian women, and masculine women. You know, how they used to relate with them. And yes. Yeah. Back home, nobody's going to, I mean, some people might, but majority of people really don't care if you decide to, if you're a man and you decide to dress like a woman, or if you're a girl and you decide to dress like a boy or a man. Like,
It's
the
more.
probability of people accepting you for who you are is higher than people discriminating against you.
That's
I
nice.
have a yeah.
That's nice.
I have like I wouldn't call her my friend, but like a colleague from school, secondary school, and secondary school was like when we were like six. Yeah, that's senior high school. I was like 16 to like 15, 16 to like 17, 18. Just before you go into university or college. So she was very like a tomboy, and I was in an all-girls school.
Okay.
So our uniforms are like dresses, skirts. At one point, some of them started wearing trousers, but our uniforms were mostly like feminine. So she did go through that, but then I realized that if she had a choice on her own, she would dress more masculine, like shorts, a t-shirt, stuff like that. And since we've been out of school, I keep up with her on social media. I've never seen her wearing a dress. Yeah. She keeps her hair cut low, like short, like a guy. She does wear earrings sometimes, but she mostly wears like three-piece suits and stuff like that, like a guy.
Masculine presenting stuff. Okay.
Yes, but they suit her, and it's not strange to me because I've always known her to be that way, and her family has too, and they accept her for that. Like, they don't just shun her because
That's good.
she likes dressing like a guy. I don't know her sexual, preference, but her family doesn't seem to shun her because like she dresses different. She doesn't dress like a regular girl would. Blah blah blah. She looks fine. She hangs out with them. They go for like family events. She's always posting them online. So that makes you understand the kind of relation she has with them. And she has female friends, a lot of them. And she has male friends.
Okay.
So it's like everybody just, if you are true to yourself,
That's
people
all
are
that
going to
matters.
accept you. I saw a video online where they were interviewing a couple of Ghana guys, like guys who are from my tribe.
Mhm.
They were just walking on the streets and one of them called them. They had braided their hair, like long braids, and it wasn't even like a regular color, like maybe black or something. It was like pink, green, you know. So they were very. It was very interesting to see them, and I think the person just called them and was just having a conversation with them. And the conversation they were even having didn't have anything to do with how they look like.
Yeah, it was it's just a regular conversation. Well, that's really cool. It's not a societal thing. It's really just a personal thing. If they're like,
Yes. So as long as you are comfortable in your skin and you know what you like, and you are not allowing people to pressurize you to do certain things outside of what you feel comfortable with, people are going to gravitate towards you. Like people that accept you are going to gravitate towards you. You are definitely going to face some, you know, what's the word? You are going to face some, it's not backlash, but
discrimination.
yes, you are definitely going to face some discrimination from people, but the likelihood of you being accepted when you are true to yourself is higher than you being accepted once you are pretending, because people tend to see through people who are not genuine.
Yeah.
Yes, so you just have to live to your truth, really. Yes. So back home, when it comes to like effeminate men, masculine women, stuff like that, especially in my tribe, it's nothing new. It has been happening for centuries.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you want to speak more on the matter, or go to the next question, or?
Well,
That's my favorite answer so far.
I guess that's it. If you have any following questions, I could answer them.
What behaviors have you witnessed in the States that would not be culturally accepted in Ghana?
Okay. Well, the first one would be the use of the left hand.
The left hand? Okay.
So we don't use our left hand to shake other people. Some people are left-handed, so that's like their primary, use of the arm. But we don't shake people with our left hand. It's considered disrespectful. So you don't give things to people with your left hand. You give it to them with your right hand. You shake them with your right hand. You wave. You do most, gestures with your right hand. With your left hand, it's like you don't respect the person.
Okay.
Yes, I haven't seen many people use their left hand here because I feel like most people are right-handed, so like that's instinctively their first go-to when they need to move stuff and do stuff.
Yeah.
But people are left-handed back home too, so they have to learn how to not use their left hand for majority of the things that they would like to. Like if it's writing, moving stuff around, doing activities, they are most comfortable using their left hand. But when it comes to social interactions, they have to be careful not to use their left hand to do those stuff.
Okay. Let me make sure I don't try to use my left hand too much.
You'll be fine. You're right-handed.
I am right.
Yeah, it's not going to be much of a problem. Yeah.
And the last, was that the only behavior, or?
So far, that's the only thing I could speak about. Oh, also, we use a lot of please. Yes. Even when you're not trying to be polite.
Yeah, that's a true stereotype about Americans. We're not that polite for some reason. In the South, I'd say you'll find the more polite people in the South because we have that Southern hospitality. In North and out West, it's not as like valued compared to like Georgia, Bama, and Florida. So yeah, I try to say please and thank you, but I know that's not how everyone is like raised for some reason. So it's weird to me too, like not saying please for stuff, but
Yeah, we say please a lot. Like speaking to a regular Ghanaian, you could hear please in a sentence maybe 3-4 times. Especially if they're speaking to someone of higher authority. Yes, they would try to make sure that the person feels respected or appreciated in their interaction with the person. You know, speaking to each other, they try to be polite. You know, and I'm talking about just going to the market and buying stuff, meeting people on the roadside, and stuff like that. They try to be polite at least, you know, just not to step on any toes and at least to form relationships. But yeah.
That's nice that you guys are really respectful to each other.
Yeah.
Last question is, what are some of the popular Ghanaian foods? Any ones that you like in particular?
Well, in my tribe, we eat kenke. Kenke is a ball of fermented corn dough.
Okay, what's the fermented what?
Corn,
Corn. Okay.
yes, corn dough that is steamed. Yes, and we eat that with fried fish and hot pepper sauce. Yeah, which is very spicy. Yeah, it's quite spicy. So we eat that with fried fish or any proteins you wanna add. You can add a fried egg, sausages, meat, whatever you want to make it as rich as you want. We also eat banku. Banku is like kinky. It's also a ball.
Okay.
Yes, but it's made of cassava and kondo cooked together on the fire until it forms like a thick consistency. Yes, you can eat that with hot pepper sauce, fried fish, and whatever proteins you wanna add. You can eat that with okra soup.
Soup? Oh, okay.
Okra.
Okra. Oh, okay. I like soup.
Yeah, you can eat that with okra soup. You can also eat that with. You can even eat that with palm nut soup. You can eat that with light soup. So those are the kind of different soups that we have. And then one major food is also fufu, but that's not indigenous to where I come from.
Okay.
That's more like Amakan meal.
Okay.
Yes. So that one is pounded cassava and plantains.
I like plantains.
Yeah. So they are pounded together and it forms like this sticky consistency. And you eat that with like soup and whatever meat you want or fish, depending on your preference. The very popular one is jollof rice.
Jollof rice. I think I've heard of that dish before.
Yes. So jollof rice is basically plain white rice, which is cooked in tomato sauce.
Okay.
So it gives it that like orange color, and then to taste, it's not like plain rice because it was cooked in the tomato sauce. It has like all the spices and flavorings that you use to make the sauce.
Oh, you told me about this dish. It was you who told me about this dish.
Yeah, so the most popular one is jollof, and we share jollof with a number of West African countries, although each country cooks it differently.
Oh, okay. That's really, it's unique.
Yes. So what else? Yes, and wache. Wache is rice and black-eyed peas cooked together with a leaf, which gives it a color like a wineish color. Yes, that's the best way I can describe it. So at the end of the cooking, the food comes out like wine is not the best color. Wine.
Like red wine or clearish?
Yeah. Red wine is very red. It's like brown wine.
I feel like I know what you're talking about. Like when it comes to food, I can kind of picture that color, you know?
Yeah.
I got you.
So the color looks dark. Yeah. The leaf turns the beans and the rice into that dark color, and I think it also gives it like a taste, and it also gives it some nutritional value that The leaves are just for like the color, and when the food is cooked, you take the leaves out and then you only eat the rice and the beans, which are basically mixed together. And we eat that with hot pepper sauce that we call shito.
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 Okay.
Yes. So shito is just a sauce made of onions, tomato paste, spices, salt, dried grounded fish, meat pieces, and it's very dark in color. It's dark like the Coca-Cola dark.
Oh, okay. That's
Yes. It's dark in color, and you can eat that with wachi, you can eat that with banku, you can eat that with kenke, you can eat that with all sorts of meals. It's basically just like a hot pepper sauce.
okay. Are there any desserts that you like?
Pardon?
Like desserts, like cakes or?
Oh, we have a lot of food, trust me.
Sounds like I need to make a trip to Ghana.
We have a whole lot of food. So when it comes to, we don't really have desserts, we have like snacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love snacks. I love
So
snacks.
we have like plantain chips. So it's thinly sliced plantains. It could be ripe or ripe. That's are fried in oil and then it becomes chips. You just eat that like a snack.
Like potato chips.
Yes. And we eat that with like roasted groundnuts or without, you know, it really depends on you. And then we could also eat roasted plantains. So the ripe plantains are roasted over charcoal and you eat that with groundnuts. So that's like a snack. It's like a street food you can find anywhere. You just walk a bit and you see somebody selling and you can just buy it for yourself. When it comes to breakfast foods, we have like porridges, different types. So like rice pudding, we call it rice water. Yeah, so we do have rice pudding, locally made. We have a meal called cocoa. Cocoa is like millet porridge. Do you know millet? It's a grain.
It's green. Okay.
It's a grain like rice.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's porridge too.
We make it into porridge.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And we eat that with kose, or like Nigerians call it akara. Yes. So in West Africa, most of the foods are similar across the coast. Like maybe they are prepared differently, but like it looks almost tastes the same.
Okay. So it's like is it like oatmeal? Because that's kind of like over here we like that's how I consider porridge over here is like oatmealish and like grits.
Yes, we do have oatmeal too
Okay.
because we have oats. So we eat like we just cook them and then it becomes like oats.
Okay.
Yes, and then for the porridge, it's lighter than oatmeal. You know, oatmeal is thick.
Yeah.
It's not as thick. It's light and very tasty. So it depends on which kind of porridge you are looking at. You could have like different consistency, but it's easy to drink.
Okay.
So it's not, you don't have to necessarily use a spoon. You could use a spoon if you want, but most of the time people just drink it straight from the bowl. Yeah, so they just
And just that's how I used to eat oatmeal when I was a kid.
yeah, we have a lot. We have a lot of porridges. We have a lot of snacks. We have a lot of foods that are specific to different tribes, and our staple meals are dependent on the area you find yourself in. So for Ghans, our staple meal is corn.
Okay.
That's why most of the two foods I mentioned are made with like corn dough. Yes. So our staple meal is corn, and then most of the people fish because we are on a coastal line. And in my village in particular, we also mine salt.
Okay, that's really nice.
Yes. So we mine salt and we sell it. Sea salts, like the huge ones.
Okay, like the chunks of big sea salt to get. Gotcha.
Yes, so that's what some people do there. They fish, they mine salt, they farm. Yes. So most staple foods would be like plantain, cassava, corn. What else? Yam.
Yams. Oh, I love yams.
Yes. Yams, cocoa yams.
Cocoa yams.
Yes. you could eat so many things. And the the very distinct feature I have noticed is that most of the food here comes preserved in like boxes and packs, like ready made to eat. So if you were making a meal, you could use like 2 or 3 boxes of stuff and you could get like a full meal.
Yeah.
But if you're making a meal back home, you are getting the raw stuff.
Like organic stuff, just fresh from. Okay.
Yes, fresh from farm. You are getting the raw organic stuff that you can see. You know, like this came from the ground. Some of them come even as dusty. You know, they even come as dusty as where they came from. And you have to cook that meal from scratch. So you literally know everything that is going into what you're eating. And the most processed food you would use will be an artificial spice, but even the spices are natural. So even the spices are grown and preserved and then used to make the meals. So we don't really have cases of obesity, unless of course the person eats a lot. Some people eat a lot, so they become extremely fat. Yes, but on a normal, you wouldn't see too many fat people. And one thing I can also mention is we do have fast food chains that are mostly from the US back home, but because of the pricing of the fast food, the rich people eat the fast food.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
You know how here poor people eat fast food?
Yeah.
It's the opposite side.
That is interesting.
So rich people can afford to eat the pizza. You know.
McDonald's.
We don't have McDonald's, but we do have Burger King.
Oh, okay. Burger King.
Burger King, KFC, stuff like that.
Y'all have a KFC.
Yeah.
When I learned that KFC was not just owned because it's Kentucky Fried Chicken,
Yeah.
when it was not just in America, I was like, wait, they take Kentucky Fried Chicken everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. Well, that's
Yeah.
really interesting.
And KFC has been around. KFC was the first to come. They have
Oh, okay.
Domino's.
Oh, okay. Do you have like Chipotle or anything like?
No. So Mexican food is not so popular. Maybe if you go to like a restaurant, then you get Mexican food. But like you wouldn't get Mexican food like fast food.
You go just like somewhere authentic.
Yes.
Okay.
So it would be like a restaurant, where you have to eat like a 5-star meal or something. That's where you get like if you want like But we have Lebanese. Is it
Lebanese, yeah.
Lebanese restaurant. Turkish too. Yeah, we have some of them living there.
Okay.
Yes. Some of them also beg on the streets, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. Because like the country is war torn, they migrate down and they are living on the streets. Occasionally they do end up getting places because like there are other people that came before them and have managed to establish like businesses and stuff like that. And they have a growing, population.
Okay.
Yeah. And they are getting quite rich.
Can they do what? I'm sorry.
They are getting rich.
Oh, they're getting rich. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good that they're able to, like, live in another country, other country, home countries, like, going to some stuff.
Yeah. So we have some of them come and they have businesses, mostly in like real estate. Not real estate like in the houses per se, but like windows, kitchen sets, building materials basically. So they sell those kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's really cool. Was there anything else you'd like to share about your country before the interview is over?
Well, I think I have spoken a lot.
Well, I learned a lot. I learned so much. I really appreciate this so much. Thank you.
I think I have spoken a whole lot. And maybe the only thing I should include is the flag was designed by a woman called Theodosia Oko. I think she's still alive.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if she's dead, yes or not. I think she's still alive. For the red, it was just basically talking about the bloodshed that happened from our forefathers. This is like from slavery through until independence, because they had to like fight to regain ownership of their land and their people from the Europeans.
Mm.
So that's what the red is for. And the yellow or the gold is for like our natural gold resource. So we have a lot of gold in the country. We mine gold and we are one of the biggest exporters of gold and cocoa in the world.
That's nice.
Yes. So there's that. And then the green is for like the forest areas and stuff. And the black is for the people. You know, black star.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yes. So the black just symbolizes the people in the country. And that's about it.
Well, thank you so much, Christiana. I learned a lot, and I had really fun, like learning of so much about Ghana. So thank you again.
You're welcome.